And we're live! Welcome to another edition of RockSim Live. And today is a special day. And the reason for that is just moments ago, we released RockSim version 10.1. So this is a special day, special episode, because what I want to talk about, at least initially, is what the new stuff is in this new update. Now this is an update, so if you have RockSim version 10 or version 9, this is a free upgrade. We're not charging any money for this. It's specifically for you. We treat our loyal customers different from new customers. You know, if like you go out and get a new cell phone, you can get a special deal because you're a new customer, but the old customers get shafted. Hit the button on my keyboard there. Yeah, like I said, the old customers, they get shafted, and we don't like that. So we treat our customers with respect, and we treat our old customers better than we treat new customers. So if you are a old RockSim user, I think we're going. I have people watching this to tell me if we actually lose like my voice, like the microphone, which happened a couple episodes ago. So that he just walked in and just double checked, which was really cool. I'm glad that our system is working. That's our new person here, our new graphic artist. His name is Derek. So I'd like to thank Derek for doing that. Okay, so back to RockSim. If you have RockSim 9 or 10, this is a free upgrade. If you have version 8 or older, so version 1 through version 8, it's a low-cost upgrade. You don't have to pay the full price. It's a low cost. We know, like I said, we treat our old customers better than the new ones. So those old customers that have RockSim versions 1 through 8, you get a special upgrade price. Version 9 and 10, it's free for you. And if you're brand new to RockSim, well, it's a good deal either way. So let me get into, we got some questions coming in, which is good because I'll answer those after we talk about RockSim version 10.1. So let me first bring up the my desktop here. Here is my list of the changes in RockSim 10, and this is my cheat sheet. I want to go over those with you. Let me bring up RockSim. This is RockSim version 10.1. If you have RockSim right now, to upgrade, just go to the Help menu and click on Check for Updates. And it will go out to our web server, take a look, see if there's any new updates. Since I've already updated my computer, mine is not showing a new update, but yours should. And from there, you should be able to click a button that says Upgrade Now. There's also a web page link on that update notice. That will take you to our web page. Let me bring that back up. Let me bring up a new window here, because there is a special update page. Update, okay. This is the page that you will go to when you get to that update link. It takes you to this page right here. On this page, we put the update process because a lot of people are worried about their old design files and their old data files. So on this page, we describe the process of protecting those old files so that you're assured that they're not going to be overwritten when you do the upgrade process. Now there's two versions here. There's a Windows and there's a Macintosh version, and they're completely different. So watch the one that corresponds to what operating system you are running. Okay, so I want to get quick into this update and show you what's new. Okay, so I was just checking the chat. If you're live on Facebook, you can leave a comment, and I'm periodically checking them over here on another monitor. which is why I keep looking off to the side. If you are watching this archived either on Facebook or on our YouTube channel, and if you have questions, come to the Apogee website, or if you have suggestions, just any page on the Apogee website here on the right side. Let me make sure that you can see this. I have to look at my monitor. Okay, so any page on the right side, it says talk to a real person, and then if you scroll down just a little bit, there will be a link to our contact form. If you click on that contact form, it will take you to a contact page where you can ask a question that we'll try to answer. We'll answer it right away when we answer our emails, but then we'll also answer it on Facebook Live if they're a good RockSim question. Okay, so let's go over the new features of RockSim, and let me bring up my cheat sheet. I keep losing that. Take that one away. Okay, so new features added. The cluster wizard has been reworked. So if you go to the RockSim design components and you want to add a cluster, what you would do is you would click on the engine mount tube, and then you see the cluster button over here. And if you click on that, it will bring up the new cluster wizard. So what this will do is basically it simplifies the process of making clusters. And so this is the new part in the cluster wizard. In previous versions, there was some bugs where the pictures of the clusters weren't actually corresponding to the buttons that you clicked on. So as you can see here, I can change the number of motors in the tube real easy. My favorite button is this one down here. This is a user tube count and radius. So this customizes your clusters. So you can adjust them with more precision, because like I think we explained this in a couple episodes ago. So you like right here, it shows the back end of the rocket, and the two tubes are butting right up against each other. So if you have one of the newer rocket motors with the thrust ring on the back end of the motor, now you can't get them in because the tubes are too close together. This button right here allows you to separate them just a little bit. So I can say, so if you, let's see if I can zoom in on this. Ooh, look at that, I can. There's this, if you right click, it'll bring up this contextual menu, and then you can zoom in further and make the picture nice and big. So you can see here my two tubes are touching. And if I want to expand that a little bit, now I got this little slider bar. You can see by moving the slider bar, I can expand them out just a little bit to make those tubes touch. So this is the new feature of RockSim. Particularly this screen right here, which allows you to adjust your clusters with greater precision. So that's one of the new features. I'm going to cancel out of this because I don't want to go through the cluster process. I want to show you the new features. The engine edit software now has a factory reset button. In RockSim, a lot of people, they get confused and they change their preferences so much that things are so screwed up that we put in a special feature that allows them to convert RockSim back to like it's starting out brand new. And if you go into your preferences, on the Mac, it's under the RockSim menu, and I think under Windows, it might be under the Edit menu, where you can select preferences. And let's see, where is it? It's right here. It's under the Miscellaneous tab. And this will be an Engine Edit too. This is the new feature in Engine Edit. I'm not going to bring up Engine Edit right now, but it's very similar to RockSim, where there's a button that says Factory Reset, and it just resets everything back to factory conditions. All the preferences back down to what we set them at when we ship it out the door. Okay, so that's new. The flight simulation and recommended motors now allow columns move dynamically clicking and dragging on the column to a new location. Okay, so this is a really cool feature that a lot of people have asked for. So it's either under flight simulations or recommended motors. You can now change the columns and the ordering right from this screen without having to go to that preferences menu that I just showed you. So like say you wanted your optimal delay, but you wanted the column way over here to the right, or you wanted altitude to the left. So you just click, hold, and drag, and drop it, and now your columns are rearranged. And you can do this all day long, moving things around. The other thing is if you wanted to add a new column, you right-click on that column header, and it brings up a Organize Columns menu. Select that, and now you can add a new criteria, you know, like total flight time. If you were in TARC, you can see it's already popped up over here, and if I uncheck it, you know, you can check and uncheck all day long. And if you like it, and if you don't like its position, you just slide it over to a new spot. And so now it's over here. So that's new in RockSim. A lot of people have kind of asked for something similar to that, and we've added that to make it a little easier for you. Right-clicking on the column headers, which I just showed you. Organize dragging a column by dragging. Okay, I already showed you that. Okay, so right-clicking on the recommended motors header. So that was in the flight simulations. If you go to recommended motors, so over here, I ran a simulation, all the recommended motors for this rocket right here. And you can see they're in order that they were run, or right now they look like they're organized by motor size. But if I only want to show those motors that are recommended, I'd come over here to this column, and I can click on it, and then it just resorts it. It's like the top ones are not recommended, the bottom ones are recommended. I can resort that again, or I can just right click on that column header. So if I right click using my mouse, clicking on it, and say show only recommended motors. And so now if you go through this list, there's no not recommended motors. So we added this feature of recommended motors to RockSim version 10.0, and now we've made it better in RockSim 10.1. Because it caused confusion for people, they said, I only want to see those recommended motors, and this is the way you see them. Okay, other new features. The default lighting on the 3D image down here on the bottom. We made it so that it automatically has a studio light. So this image right here, it's kind of like I'm in a studio and I have to light the object. Say this was a rocket, so I didn't bring a rocket today. And there's different shadow, there's multiple lights on here, and that's kind of why you'll see light and dark bands here on the rocket, because in studio lighting, it looks better than just regular ambient lighting. So that's why we added that feature. The icon, okay, so the icon displays simulated terminated at Apogee has been updated. So what does that mean? Well, if you go here to recommended, or the flight simulations, and we run a new simulation, and let's just choose an engine. It doesn't matter which engine. And I'll click OK. And I go here to simulation controls, and I change the simulation endpoint to end the simulation when the rocket reaches Apogee. And so what this does is the rocket takes off, the simulation stops right here. Normally you want the rocket to come over the top and come and all the way back down to the ground so you can see the landing data as well. But when you run it just to Apogee, the simulations run a lot faster, particularly if you're running simulations that are going to go hundreds of thousands of feet, or 100,000 feet. They're going to take a long time, and it's usually coming down that takes the longest part of the simulation. So you might want to stop your simulation at Apogee. But so what happens though is people forget that they stopped their simulations at Apogee, and then they call us up and they say, I'm not getting the data. what happened to my data? I have no clue that I had already changed this to stop at Apogee. So what we did is we changed the icon in this screen right here. So if you zoom in right here, you see that the new icon says, you know, there's an X at the top of the peak of the flight. So this says that the simulation has stopped at Apogee. So in this new version of RockSim, whenever you run a new simulation, the results column will always have an icon in it. In the past, you could have no icon because if the simulation stopped at Apogee, we don't know where the parachute came out. So this parachute with the arrow on it, that means that the rocket was coming back down before the parachute popped out. If the arrow is pointing up, that means the rocket was still going up when the parachute popped out. If there's no arrow in it, that means that it popped out right at Apogee or within 1 second above or below Apogee. So that's kind of like the sweet spot. So that's kind of like, okay, this is really good. And then the other icon that you might see is the rocket never left the launch pad. So maybe you got a tiny motor and a big rocket, it's never going to lift it off the pad. So there always should be an icon in the results column now. So that's a new feature. The splash screen can now be skipped by pressing the escape key. So you know when you first start RockSim, it flashes that nice little logo of RockSim, and it displays it there for a couple of seconds. Well, people get impatient, including me. So what we did is we added a keystroke, the escape key. So as soon as that screen pops up, you hit the escape key and it goes away. So you can get into RockSim a little bit faster so you can design your rockets. All right, next one, 4K monitor support has been added. There have been a lot of people that have been upgrading their systems, and particularly with a 4K monitor in version 10 and in version 9, all of these tables here that you see on the screen were shrunk so bad and the text was really hard to read. So that bug has been fixed and we added that new feature. Toggling the opacity button will now turn the entire rocket from regular settings to opaque and vice versa. So here's the opacity button here on the main screen down here. You got to be in 3D view to see this. So if you're not in 3D, you won't see the button. So change it to 3D. So now if you change opacity, look at that. You can just zoom in and look inside the rocket. If I double click here, or if I click here, it detaches that screen and it moved it to the top. Hey, that's a new feature. I like that. Okay, detach it. I'm going to put it back down here at the bottom. Huh. Well, I'll figure that out. This is a new feature that I didn't even notice that was available. You can move it around. Cool. Okay, so that was the opacity button. Okay, so then we updated the VTK. The VTK stands for Visual Toolkit. So that allows us to make these renderings better, more realistic. And we also did this for our new RockSim Pro that we're working on. I've been showing kind of sneak peeks in RockSim Pro in our new, in this RockSim Live in previous episodes, running simulations because the flight profiles, we call it the flight visualizer, is just totally awesome, and I wanted to give everybody a sneak peek on that. But that version needed this new upgrade on the Visual Toolkit, and it's kind of the behind the scenes in RockSim, so it's only going to make RockSim better. You probably won't see a lot of changes to it because we did it. We also updated our databases of engines and parts. Aerotech and Quest have been releasing a lot of new motors, particularly in the last month. Those new long burn 29 millimeters are now in there. So if you want those motors in your database, instead of downloading them separately, we've just automatically added them. if you do want to add motors in the future, you go to the Apogee website. I want to open up a new window here because I want to keep this one because I keep going back to it. So if you go to How To and Guides on the home page, and then you go to Software, and then to the RockSim Video Tutorials, and then you scroll down here to its video number 31, download and import engine data. So video number 31. This is if you want to add a new motor that's not in RockSim. But because this is a brand new update, everything that we can find, we've put in here. So you shouldn't have to worry about this until Aerotech or Quest or Estes or Cesaroni or Clima or any of the other motor manufacturers issues a new motor. Then if you want to add it, this is where you go to add it. Video number 31 on this tutorial page. Okay, so Windows and Apple have both been verified for this version of RockSim and following updated versions. So what does that mean? We've been verified. So in the past, when you tried to install RockSim, you'd get this big warning message saying that this is an untrusted software. You might not want to install it. Well, we've gone ahead and paid money to Microsoft and to Apple to say this software has been verified, it's bug-free, and nobody has modified it during the download process from our website to your computer. If there's a little change, if somehow somebody got in there and tried to add something to RockSim, it would trigger an alert. But right now, everything has been verified, so when you install RockSim, it's going to install a lot easier than it did in the past. Okay, so my daughter keeps texting me. Now, so those are the new features. We've also done a lot of bug fixes. You'll find those bug fixes. I'm here on the RockSim history page. Let me make this bigger so you can see that URL. So it's RockSim and then version history. To get there, if you went to the home page and you went to How To and Guides, go back to Software, and you get to version history right down here. This will take you to the page that I'm on. And this tells all the new features and all the bugs that we fixed. So in this version of RockSim 10.1, we fixed a whole bunch of bugs. You know, we were embarrassed by them, so we wanted to fix them. Hopefully, there's a lot fewer bugs now than there was in the past because we fixed a lot of things. So I'll let you go through those. So there's three things that we fixed in RockSim. One was we added the new features. Number two was we fixed bugs. And number three was we updated the software behind RockSim. And this was the big, massive change. And we started this change last April of 2020. And it took us until about December to update the core of RockSim. And it's run by a software called Qt. And we did a huge upgrade to Qt. And the reason for that is, like we said, there's people updating their computers all the time, and these new computers, everything is just changing on them. So RockSim wasn't playing well with new computers, so we had to upgrade the Qt software to allow for these new computers and for new features in the future. So it was a massive upgrade, 9 months of hard slogging work. And we finally got that done. But because we updated those features, or Qt, it necessitated, I don't know what that word is. It made necessary that we also had to change some things in RockSim that aren't features and they weren't bug fixes. So there's a couple of minor changes that kind of, aren't as nice as the way RockSim worked in the past. And we're going to hopefully fix these in the future. But for now, just to get this version out the door to you with all the other bug fixes, we had to make these changes. One of them was the custom fin set dialog is a little bit different than it was in the past. So if I go to design components and I find a custom fin, so here's my custom fins. And so this brings up this window right here. Let me trying to make it smaller so you can see the whole thing. Come on, it doesn't want to grab. You're not seeing the buttons here on the bottom. Yeah. Okay. So this is the custom fin screen because of this change. So when you go, see, you got all this gray space right here. This is the thing this was a necessary change, the unfortunate necessary change. We got a lot of space here because when you go to plan points, now all this space is being used because we needed to put the actual plan points on this screen somewhere. Before, in RockSim version 9 and version 10.0, that box was over here, but because of this new QT upgrade, it kind of, we couldn't put that box up there, so now it's down below and it smushed everything on this screen. So that is that change. Another change, the zoom feature has been replaced with scroll zoom. Oh, this is on the charts. So if I go to a chart, if I go to a flight simulation and I want to look at this chart, when this brings up the chart, you see the chart over here. Let me get it onto the screen more for you. In the past, you could just click these zoom buttons and it would shrink this way. It would just shrink horizontally. But because of the new QT process or software, when you click on the zoom button, it's going to zoom in both directions. Well, so if I'm zooming in, I'm going to take this and make it big, but I'm also going to take it this way and make it big this way. So right now it's really nice. You can see the tops of these points here on the graph, but when I click zoom, those have now been cut off, and in order to see them, I have to click and drag to see the tops of the points. So I'm not seeing the entire vertical area all at once because of this. There is kind of a workaround. If you go to preferences, you kind of see like that portion of the graph that you want to see. So I want to see like up to 6 or 7 seconds. I go to preferences and I say end the data at the following time and go to like 7 seconds, then replot the graph. And now it's kind of like zoomed in this way, but still maintains the vertical aspect. So that's kind of the workaround. This was a necessary change, but in fact, it kind of diminishes RockSim a little bit. I just want to, be honest with you. These were the things that we still don't like, that we want to change in the future, and we're going to get to them. But we had to get this version out the door. Okay, so yeah, that covers all the things that I wanted to cover to show you the new things in RockSim version 10.1. And now let me go here to my chat window and see what the questions are. Gregory King writes, I recently read your article, 7 Common Mistakes People Make When Attempting Level 1 Certification. Safety should be, of course, be paramount in launches. I live right outside Washington, D.C., and it is illegal to launch within a pretty large radius. For those of us who do not get to launch very often, are there any steps or precautions that you can recommend that we practice at home with our own designs. So if you're, I'm not totally sure on that question, Gregory, for level 1 certification, and if you can't fly in a big field, you want to fly low and you want to fly slow. So again, I would always go back to what is the best rocket for level 1 certification. And to find that rocket, you come here to the Apogee website, you click on the home button. On this banner bar right here, it's a scrolling banner, and I can click on it. Here's our new announcement for RockSim version 10. But if you click on here, this is the Zephyr kit, the perfect rocket for level 1 certification. It will fly low and slow, and it's going to fly low because it's a big rocket. Big rockets are heavier, they're a bit draggier, so on any given motor they're just going to go lower because they're just not as efficient as a small skinny rocket. So if you're on a small field, think bigger diameter rockets or heavier rockets, and choose a rocket with high thrust but with a low impulse, low average impulse. So let me open up a Zephyr rocket right here. I'm going to go to my designs, the Apogee components, and we want to go find the Zephyr. Here's the Zephyr rocket down here. Click open. I don't care about the old rocket. So here's our Zephyr rocket, and here on the bottom are our motors. Let's see with the recommend. I didn't run recommended motors. We can do a recommended motors real quick. Just click on Prepare for Launch button up here, and then click on Recommended Motors. And here are the recommended launch conditions. And I'm going to change this to an 8-foot long launch rail because this is a big rocket. This is really the only thing you need to change. And I'm just going to run, I don't want to run all the motors because there's over 100 motors in 29 or 38 millimeters. I only want, for 38 millimeters, I only want to run a small type. So I'm going to say aerotech, and I'm going to just say just the single-use motors. And then run recommend launch conditions. And there's 12 motors, and it's running the simulations right now. It's figuring out the delays for the parachutes. This is why it runs the second time. The second time it runs through it, it's figuring out the delay times. Okay, so here's my recommended motor list down here. These are all recommended motors because I have previously said show only the recommended ones. So now it should show all of them, but there's really, all of them are recommended. I have an H47. Our altitude here, so I want to look at our altitude column. I'm going to sort by altitude here. So the lowest altitude is an H283. It's going to go 1,700 feet. So now you need to decide at 1,700 feet, is it going to stay under your waiver? And a lot of people on the East Coast have waivers that are only like 2,000 feet. So this will stay underneath your waiver. Also, the H100 will stay under your waiver. But will it drift very far? And this was where RockSim Pro, where we were talking about it in previous episodes, kind of shows you a map of the area and actual where you're launching from and all the trees around your area because it's using satellite photos of your launch area. But in regular RockSim, we don't have that ability because it's 3 degrees of freedom rather than 6. So if I go here to the H100 and I rerun this simulation, I'm going to load that engine in. I'm going to go to Prepare for Launch and then click Flight Profile. Now it's going to bring up a flight profile of the H100, and you can see it's taken off. It's flying nice and straight. It's recommended. Oh, it stopped at Apogee. Remember, we had set this to stop at Apogee. Oh, I forgot about that. So let me go up here, Simulation Controls, end the simulation when it reaches the ground. Rerun that simulation. All right, so now we're launching, and see, I did that really quick. I grabbed the scroll bar down here. A lot of people, you just click the launch button, and then it takes off. And this is in real time, so it's going to take a while. So if you don't have time to wait, just grab that scroll bar and bring it down. And see, now it's going to say, you know, it's going to drift about 750 feet. So that's probably good for a low or a small launch area. So this is probably a good motor for it. So I hope that answered your question, Gregory King. Chris Britt says, if you have time today, my question is about nose cones that are cockpit style. Can this be input into RockSim? And the answer is not really, but we can fudge it. You can always fudge it. It's going to do two things to your rocket. One, it's going to add drag, and two, it's going to add lift. So we have a design in our database, and that is the Apogee. It's our, oh man, I'm drawing a blank. When I'm trying to do two things at once. So I'm going to our rockets by manufacturer, and I'm going to Apogee, and it is the flying machine. So here is the flying machine rocket. So let me bring up an image of rocket. So he's saying, can you add a cockpit style nose or a detail to your rocket? And can you put it on the nose cone? Okay, so that's what we're going to try to attempt to do here. So if I go here and look for the flying machine, here's the flying machine. Open that up. Click open. I'm not saving that design. So I'm looking at it in 2D right now. And let me look at it in this perspective. Okay, so here it is right down here. So let me look at it in 3D so you can see a little bit better. Oh, I want to make this bigger. Okay, so now it's bigger. Okay, so I'm using my mouse, and if you hold down the shift key, you can slide it around. Then you can rotate it around. So you can see the cockpit there, but it's not streamlined. And this is the part we can't do. We can't streamline it, but we can kind of simulate it. It's on the outside of the rocket, and it's going to add drag, and it's going to add lift. And the way we did this is this component is a fin. So we simulated it by adding a fin to the rocket. Okay, so if I go to my design components and I find the fin that I've called canopy, so you can see that. And this is a custom fin, so we're seeing this screen here again. And my rocket is down here off to the bottom. But if I look at the plan points, I can see how I've shaped it the way I've wanted it. So if I grab a point, I can really make it really weird looking. But if I go to the General tab, you'll see that the thickness of this fin is 1.1 inches. So I've made it pretty beefy thick to give it that width on the rocket. So if I click OK here, now I zoom in on that canopy, so you can kind of see the way you would do it. Now, can you add a fin to a nose cone? And the answer is yes. To do that, I'm going to go back here to my canopy. I'm going to go to the General tab, and you can see the location here. And if I take this slider bar, and you can't see it very well because I can't make this screen. Oh, I made it a little smaller. So I actually already slid it. Oh, so see the red line down here? This is my canopy. I'm looking at it top down. If But if I look at it from a side view, now it's here on the bottom of the rocket. And if I change the location, I can slide it, and the furthest I can go is 0 inches, and it's right here at the front of the tube, but we want it on the nose cone, so we need to go further. So what you do in that case is you go to the location and you type in a number, and you make it a negative number. So I'm going to type in a value of -5, hit the tab key, and you can see that it jumped onto the nose cone. Okay, I'm going to click OK. And let me go here to my 2D view, and you can see it's now on my nose cone. Now it's not perfect. Actually, let me go back to the canopy. And if I go to the General tab, and if I take this slider bar here, and if I just move it just even a little bit, it should conform to the nose cone. So now doesn't have a flat bottom. It's actually curved on the bottom. You can kind of see that curvature right there. So it matches the curvature. So if you actually cut a fin, you could really match the curvature of your nose cone really well. So I could actually go and print this out, and it would match the curvature of the nose cone that I had defined. So hopefully, Chris, that answers your question there. Lewis says, "You're great." Thank you, Lewis. It's good to hear that every now and then. Sydney Baker says, "The check for update option does not open the link. Please advise." Sydney, I'm not sure what's going on yours. It depends on which version you're using. It should work on 10.0. But if it does not work, the advice is to go to the Apogee website. Let me bring up my Apogee website. Okay, oops, it went away. Here's Apogee website, and you go to the RockSim version 10.1 update process page. This is where you will find the information to do the update process, and you will also find down here at the bottom where to get the upgrade software. And you'll notice it says option B, download and install the free trial version. So if you click on the free trial version and you enter your name and your email address, we'll send you that link via email for the full version of RockSim version 10.1. And this has all the updated databases, all the updated parts databases, motor files. So this is actually what we would prefer you to update anyway. So basically everything is the full version. Anytime we give you a download link, whether it is through the trial version or if you bought the full version on our website and we give you a link via email, all those versions point to this one version. And so everybody's downloading the same version. It's not any different. So this is where you would do it. Just go and download the trial version. If you want to get to the trial version from the Apogee homepage, so if you're on the Apogee homepage, just go to either shop or how-to and guides. I'll go to how-to and guides, go to software, and then you'll see right here RockSim software free trial, and it'll take you back to that same page for the free trial version. So, Brendan, I hope it answers your question. Sydney, everybody seems to be having that problem. Go to help, check for updates, try that. Okay, I tried that function, same result. Okay, so apparently there's might be that, so that is not a bug in the current version of 10.1, that's a bug in version 10.0. Because we didn't want to release an update right when we release version 10.0, but this is where you'll get that update. Just update, you can download that trial version, and that will give you the update. Sorry for that. It's one thing that we weren't able to test. Adam McDonald asks, is there a list of kit vendors who have a RockSim project data either available for download or included with RockSim? I have an old Big Nuke 3E kit halfway finished and thinking about getting back into high power with it and modeling in RockSim. So Big Nuke, I think, is that a lock kit? RockSim does have a lot of vendors. So if you go to open, and I'm going back up a level to my design folder, and if I might be in, where's my lock folder? Let me sort here. Here's Lock Precision. They do theirs by part number, so I'm having to look for Big Nuke. I'm not seeing it here, but one of the things that we do for manufacturing, if you're a rocketry manufacturer, if a legitimate rocketry manufacturer, if you got a website that's selling your own products under your own brand name, so like Aerotech or Lock or PML, we will give you a free copy of RockSim so you can create a database with all your rocket kits in it. So there is a big repository of rocket motor files already out there. First, I would say go to the manufacturer, their website, and see if they have RockSim files. If not, give them an email. They probably do, because we've been giving manufacturers free copies of RockSim for since version 2. So everybody should have a copy of RockSim right now. So you can download them. There are some other websites you can check. There's a website called, again, I'm just thinking too much right now, thinking it's giving me brain farts. Rocket Reviews. RocketReviews.com has a large database of rocket kit files. In the future, our plan is to go everything online and put all our databases on the Apogee website. We're not there yet. That's in the future. So I'm just trying to give you ideas. You can also check some of the rocketry forums. The rocketry forum, and there's the old rocketry forum. You can check them, ask people there if they might have one. But in reality, it is so simple to create a design in RockSim that, within 20 to 30 minutes, you could have that kit file in your own copy, made yourself if you have the kit there where you can actually measure the components. So I don't trust anybody else's RockSim files. I always make my own anyway. If you're like me, you might not trust downloading somebody else's file. So that is always an option. Harlem, Lily, if I mispronounce your name, I'm very sorry, Harlem. How do you add multiple motors into the engine selection window? Each time I want to change a motor for simulation, I have to go search for it in the database and change the delay again. So I guess you're asking, how do you load an engine in RockSim? So let me open a file that has a 30 or something with a big motor in it. It's a Katana. Okay, so Katana, I'm not going to save any changes there. So here's the Katana rocket, and he's asking, how do I load a motor file? So I go to the engine, and it's a 54 millimeter engine, and I just click on it. So I assume you're looking for a particular motor name. So if you have the current version of RockSim, we've updated all those motor files, so everything that's certified should be in here, right? As of today, February 19, 2021, February 22 might not be updated yet because we don't know what Aerotech or Cesaroni is going to do. They're always releasing new motors, and they don't tell us. So what you would do is you would come over here, and basically I would start the search by sorting by manufacturer name. So you can use the manufacturer filter, and you can say just sort only those Aerotech motors. Right now I have them sorted by all. So if I scroll down, I should see Cesaroni and Contrail and Gorilla rocket motors. If I only wanted to look for an Aerotech one, I would sort by Aerotech, and now my list is a lot shorter. And then you would sort by engine code. So if I wanted to do smallest to largest, I'd click on this. If I clicked on it again, it would be largest to smallest. So now it's sorting the biggest 54 millimeter motor in the database is a K850. And if it's the smallest, here's an I170. So hopefully that answered your question. If it didn't, I'm sorry, because I maybe don't understand the full question. Adam says, feature idea in the flight profile screen, button to click, continue simulation to landing in case you have stopped the simulation at Apogee. Yeah, Adam, that is a feature that we are adding in the next version of RockSim, which is called RockSim Pro with the flight visualizer. The flight visualizer has a pause button. So you click on the pause button and it kind of stops it in midair, and then you click on it again and it continues from where it left off, which is really cool. Okay. Okay, just Windows Defender. So my staff has been checking the comments over here, and they're trying to figure out what's going on with why people aren't getting the notification when they go to check for updates. And what they're saying is it might be a Windows Defender issue. So because version 10.0 wasn't registered with Microsoft, Windows Defender is trying to lock it down, so it's preventing it from going out to the internet. We think in version 10.1, because we are registered, it will work in 10.1. So the workaround is just download the trial version of RockSim from our website, and that will get you the latest version, which is 10.1 of RockSim. Let me see if there's any other questions. And that looks like it handled most all the questions that we had so far on RockSim version 10.1. Really cool. So there's still like a few minutes. If you have another question that you want to ask, let me go over here, just keep my question. We got 14 people watching currently. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. This video will be archived. It's automatically archived by Facebook. And what we do is we take that and we upload it to YouTube. So it's also on our YouTube channel. To get to our YouTube channel, I don't think we have a link to that down here. You just go to YouTube, and then you just type in, you go to the search bar and you'll type in Apogee components. And now you'll see our channel and all of our live videos. Like here, these are the ones as of today, are the latest ones updating RockSim on Windows, and then on Mac is the next one right below it. And then we've got hundreds of videos, and I don't know how it's sorting everything here, but this is where you'll find our channel. If you actually click on the Apogee one, it will bring this up.
Welcome to Apogee Components.
And if you hear, it's talking. So I'll pause that. That voiceover is Michelle. She's probably the one monitoring the chats right now. So you can say, hi, Michelle. Yeah, so here's all our videos. Wow, do we have a lot of videos? If I click on the video tab, it goes on and on and on and on. We've been producing videos since maybe 2010, so 11 years ago. So that's how far back we go. Any other questions? Any closing questions? We're like 5 minutes away from being done. We can cut it short if there's no more questions. Ronald Zacher writes, thank you, answered my update problem. Cool, I'm glad it's working for you. This has been a big day for us, just trying to get this out the door. Big shout out to Matt Cole Matt Cole is our programmer here at Apogee. We hired him to do the website, but he's been so good at doing the website that we gave him additional responsibilities of helping with RockSim. And he took over the programming of RockSim not last December, but a year ago December. So December of 2019, he took over programming RockSim, and he didn't know C++ at the time. So he learned as he was doing it, that programming language. And since then, you know, from December to April, we went from version 9 to version 10. So that was a major update. And then from April to right now, we've updated the Qt software, we updated the VTK software, we added new features, we fixed a lot of bugs, and we got it to this point. So we did all that, plus there's more bragging about what Matt has done. We're also in the process of upgrading RockSim Pro. RockSim Pro is the next thing that you should see coming out of Apogee. This is an update to Pro that includes the new flight visualizer. Now the flight visualizer, what it actually is a 3D flight profile, where in RockSim it's 2D, it's 3D. So you can see your rocket on Earth. So, you know, we're looking at satellite views of the rocket, and you can orient it around like you can on Google. You can rotate the Earth around, look at it in any perspective. You can actually see the rocket rotating, not only going up and down and drifting with the wind. You can see it crosswind. You can see it yawing and pitching. You can see the smoke at various stages. You can see the parts of the rocket coming down in pods. You'll see the pods coming down separately from the stages and the sustainer. You can do dual deployment on those pods and on the booster stages. All the parts falling down. It's kind of like a fireworks display of all parts coming down. It is so cool, and it's almost done. The thing that's holding it up is we had to get this RockSim upgrade version 10.1 out the door. So now we can do the finishing touches on RockSim Pro with the flight visualizer. And then in the future, so now Matt didn't work on the flight, well, he did help with the flight visualizer because we hired outside programmers to do that specifically, that 3D flight profile stuff. But Matt had to change a lot of things internally in RockSim to make that stuff work. So we're continuing to work with that outside developers to create that flight visualizer. And our goal and our plan is by late fall to release the flight visualizer by itself as a third product. So we'll have RockSim, RockSim Pro, and the flight visualizer by itself. And so the flight visualizer just runs simulations. So you won't be able to design a rocket. I should probably change the scene so you can actually see me a little better. The RockSim visualizer won't allow you to design rockets or move things around, like change the location of a fin or add a fin. You would have to do that in RockSim. And then, but once it's done, then you could upload it to our website and run it in the flight visualizer, and then see that whole menagerie of the visualization of that rocket flight. It is just phenomenal. It's something that I've been waiting for years, and we're getting to that point. And so the flight visualizer is the first step. The next step after the flight visualizer, once that's released, is taking everything in RockSim and putting it in the cloud, like the flight visualizer is going to be. It's in the cloud where all the files are on our website, all the simulations are run on our website. So instead of designing on your own personal computer, you'll design in a web browser. So you can design on a tablet or on your phone. You can design at the field. And it just gives mobility to everything. And it allows us to control where all the databases are. And it allows us to store everything in the cloud. Being in the cloud, it's a big undertaking. And that's why the process is going to take so long. So in the meantime, we're still going to have RockSim. We're still going to have RockSim Pro, and the RockSim Pro does have the flight visualizer in it. And then in the late fall, the flight visualizer by itself will come, and then sometime in the future, all of RockSim will be combined into one product, and everything will be online in the cloud. And so we can update things a lot faster, and then we don't have these problems that everybody's reporting, like my check for updates is not finding the new version. We apologize for that. Again, we think it's a problem with Windows. And this is why we want to go in the cloud, is to bypass all the crap that they put on us. And it makes us look bad. But in reality, we did our best. It's their issue. So we're going to conclude here. We've gone an hour. I appreciate you watching. Sydney Baker, last little comment. He says, I can confirm requesting and installing the trial version resolves the update issue. That's good to hear. We kind of assumed it would. So thanks Sydney for confirming that. So thanks again for coming to this RockSim Live training. Get your questions ready for RockSim for next week. If they're urgent questions, again, just email us through our message system on our website. We'll answer those right away. But if we can hold them over until the next version of RockSim Live, we try to do these every Friday at 12 noon Eastern time. It's 12 or 10 a.m. Mountain Time where I am right now. So until the next time, have a great week. We're going to stop streaming right as soon as I can find the button. Facebook has hidden it. End live video.